There is this one dish, right? It lives at the exact intersection of childhood memory and adult ambition. It's a dish that literally every single person who makes it truly believes they make correctly. Yet, almost everyone makes it with at least one fundamental mistake that just totally costs them the absolute perfection they were hoping for. Well, today, in this explainer, we're deconstructing a masterpiece. We are going to break down the complete anatomy, the exact science, and the rigorous technique behind the most comforting dish ever made, baked mac and cheese.
To really set the stage for this, I want to share this atmospheric opening thought right off the bat. Leave reality behind. If you are watching in the quiet of the night, let the words paint pictures in your mind. And honestly, that is the exact headspace we need today. We are going to take what has traditionally been a total guessing game in the kitchen and transform it into absolute, verifiable certainty.
But before we get into the heavy science, let's just address the elephant in the room. What is the single greatest mistake you make with your mac and cheese? I mean, is it the cheese ratio? Is it the pasta shape? Maybe you're baking it immediately? We're going to tease out that knowledge gap today, because uncovering that one fundamental flaw is going to completely elevate your cooking. Okay, let's take a quick look at our roadmap. 1. 200 years of macaroni. 2. The science of emulsification. 3. The 3-cheese blueprint. 4. Why cavatappi is superior. 5. The 2019 cold-baked discovery. And finally, 6. The crucial 10-minute rest.
Starting right off with Section 1, 200 years of macaroni.
So tracing its lineage, we can actually follow a 700-year history here. Get this, the earliest ancestor appears in an Italian cookbook way back in 1304. Then, by 1769, we see the very first genuinely baked form in an English recipe by Elizabeth Raffald. Now, there's this incredibly popular myth that Thomas Jefferson invented mac and cheese and brought it to America. Actually, scratch that. While he did serve a quote-unquote macaroni pie at the White House in 1802, the dish was already taking root in America. You can see it in the famous 1824 Virginia Housewife Cookbook. The ultimate democratic transformation, though, that happened in 1937. That is when the Kraft macaroni and cheese box completely revolutionized wartime kitchens, making it a 19-cent staple. It literally went straight from aristocratic tables right to the masses.
Moving on to Section 2. The science of emulsification.
Making baked mac and cheese is, believe it or not, a really complex three-phase chemical problem. And this is exactly where most home failures happen. So in Phase 1, the sauce, you have to create an emulsion. That's fat suspended in water, stabilized by proteins. Then in Phase 2, the bake, you're subjecting that super fragile emulsion to a brutal 200 degrees Celsius, which often causes the proteins to overcontract and squeeze the fat right out. Boom, that is how you get a greasy, grainy mess. And finally, Phase 3, the topping. You have to manage a heat gradient where the top crisps up beautifully without the bottom drying out. It's basically the ultimate culinary battle.
So how do we actually win that battle? Well, we basically have two primary methods. The traditional French approach uses a bechamel base. You make a roux out of butter and flour, which creates a starch network. This starch acts kind of like a physical net, and it prevents the high heat from squeezing the fat out of the cheese proteins. It's really stable, but the trade-off is you get a slightly floury taste. On the other hand, we have the modern professional secret, the sodium citrate method. Adding just a tiny, tiny percentage of this salt permanently stabilizes the emulsion chemically. No flour at all, pure cheese flavor, and just incredible high heat stability.
All right, let's hit Section 3, the 3-cheese blueprint.
Great baked mac and cheese requires a definitive, strict architectural formula. You literally can't just grab whatever is in your fridge. You need a minimum of 3 cheeses. Think about this breakdown. 55% is your melt cheese, something like a really beautiful Gruyere, providing a smooth, flowing base that is absolutely not going to separate. Then 35% is your flavor cheese. This is typically an aged cheddar, delivering that sharp, immediately recognizable, bold flavor. And finally, that critical 10% slice is your depth cheese. You want something like an aged Parmigiano here, bringing massive umami and a really long, complex finish to every single bite.
So the crucial takeaway here is that you absolutely must assemble the right squad for your desired flavor profile. Think about the math here. The classic uses a mild cheddar for the melt, sharp cheddar for flavor, and Parmigiano for depth. It's simple, it's structurally correct, and it's deeply nostalgic. But then look at the professional level. We upgrade the melt to Gruyere, we keep the aged cheddar and swap the depth cheese out for Comté. It's the exact same blueprint, but a totally different level of culinary sophistication.
Which brings us to Section 4, why cavatappi is superior.
Let's settle this highly debated topic once and for all. The undisputed champion is, without a doubt, cavatappi. Its double helix corkscrew shape captures sauce both on its ridged exterior and within its hollow interior at the exact same time. It's brilliant. Coming in at number 2 is the classic elbow macaroni, which honestly works so well because its small size creates a very high pasta-to-sauce ratio in every single bite. And rigatoni is fantastic if you want to create large, concentrated sauce pockets. But, and this is a big but, strictly avoid long-strand pasta like spaghetti. It tangles into dense masses and bakes entirely unevenly. Just don't do it.
And hey, no matter which of those top 3 shapes you go with, you have got to adhere to this absolute necessity. The undercooking rule. You must boil your pasta 2 to 3 minutes less than what the package directs. Think about it. Your pasta is going to spend another 25 minutes in a bubbling hot oven. If you cook it perfectly on the stove, it's going to be absolute mush by the time you serve it. If you undercook it and you slightly thin out your cheese sauce, you allow the firm pasta to actively absorb that liquid cheese as it finishes cooking in the oven. It's a real game changer.
Okay, part 5, the 2019 Cold Bake Discovery. Now this is where things get really wild. This brilliantly illustrates how we are still actively evolving the science of home cooking. Just a few years ago in 2019, a major test kitchen stumbled upon a total breakthrough that flipped conventional mac and cheese wisdom completely on its head.
For literally decades, the standard procedure was to assemble the hot pasta right into the hot sauce and bake it immediately. The problem with that? Well, you're sending an already hot mixture into a screaming hot oven, basically pushing those cheese proteins straight into the danger zone where they contract and dry out. So what was the discovery? Assemble the dish, wrap it up tight, and refrigerate it overnight. When you bake it from cold the next day, that undercooked pasta has slowly absorbed the flavors all night long, and the gradual temperature rise in the oven entirely mitigates that temperature shock. The result? An intense, luxurious creaminess retention that immediate baking just simply cannot match. No way.
But obviously, baking from cold doesn't mean we want to sacrifice that amazing crust. As the dish bakes, we uncover it at the very end to achieve Maillard browning. For a quick refresh, that's the chemical reaction between amino acids and reducing sugars that gives brown food its incredibly complex, distinctive flavor. By combining panko, because its flaky structure leaves these perfect little air pockets for ultimate crispiness, with melted butter and some Parmigiano right on top, we get a profoundly crispy, deeply flavored crust without destroying our newly preserved, creamy interior.
Finally, we've reached section 6, the crucial 10-minute rest.
10 minutes. I really cannot state this forcefully enough, you guys. This rest is absolutely not optional. When you pull that beautifully brown dish out of the oven, the sauce inside is still partially in a liquid state. If you get impatient and cut into it immediately, all of your chemistry, your meticulous layering, your overnight chilling, it all literally collapses into a runny, separated mess on the plate. Give it 10 minutes. Just 10 minutes for the internal temperature to equilibrate and the sauce to set to its absolute, final, perfect consistency.
Just look at the journey we took today. From a 13th century Italian manuscript to the intricacies of high-heat protein denaturation, right down to the perfect double helix shape of cavatappi. This quote we have here beautifully summarizes the power of structured culinary knowledge. Anyone out there eating a subpar, grainy bowl of macaroni has truly just been one recipe, one single technique away from the version that completely changes what they think this dish can be.
And honestly, that leaves us with a really provocative final thought. We've spent this entire explainer celebrating the 200-year evolution of baked mac and cheese, pulling back the curtain on its incredibly complex chemistry. But if Italian grandmothers have guarded the ultimate baked lasagna secret for generations, what in the world are we missing in our other favorite comfort foods? What other everyday dishes are out there hiding profound culinary science just waiting to be uncovered? Think about that the next time you step into the kitchen. Thank you so much for diving into the fascinating anatomy of this masterpiece with me today. Keep asking why, and always keep cooking smart.